And first of all, I want to thank Al Ayman, the best manager in the world.
He's the fucking champion of the world! Miguel, man!
Welcome everyone to the 115th edition of the Box Asylum Nuthouse podcast, brought to you by boxasylum.com. It's the 8th of March. I'm your host Andy Patterson. With me today I've got Alex Morris, Donny Baseball, Steve Wellens, Kurt Ward and Kyle McLaughlin. I had hoped Adam Smith had been around here because I think we'll get some matchroom hating tonight from Alex probably, and no Adam here to actually defend it. But guys, off the top of the show is Al Heyman had his Premier Boxing Champions show last night. Keith Thurman, UD winner, 120, 107, 118, 109, 118, 108. Of course, the 3 cards against Robert Guerrero, and I think he's now proved that he's a legit contender, guys. I actually went to bed about the 8th round. I was just too tired to kind of stay up, so I ended up following the fight on Twitter and got onto it again this morning when I got up. Thurman boxed. I thought he boxed really well last night. Did the right thing, kept the fight at range, also being aggressive. And the good thing was, we did mention last week, is he stayed off the ropes, and it really would have been a bold statement if he actually stopped Guerrero there last night. Came close to the 9th round. Alex, did you actually catch that right hand properly? Did that actually land?
What, the one that knocked him down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did.
Top of the head, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, round about the ear it looked like to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was a left hook on the temple first.
But anyway,
he busted his eye up pretty good as well. You saw he got knocked down and...
Anyways, Guerrero come back in round 10, showing fantastic guts. Both fighters really suffered there last night, actually. Guerrero was getting punished just basically at will, straight right hand. He just couldn't seem to defend against it, just coming in straight lines. Thurman made the fight through one of the most huge hematomas, when we're talking Rackman style here, actually. However, in the back afterwards, I heard that Thurman's complaining about feeling sick and was taken straight to hospital. So the Thurman's camp was also apparently suspecting a fracture somewhere around about his left eye, but that's not really been confirmed yet. Kyle, mate, would you now basically say that Thurman is now the legit article?
Oh, I was high on him anyway, to be honest with you, mate. I did not buy into him for ages. I assumed he was another one of these overhyped American prospects. But I've been high on him for a while. Probably. Oh, Donny, go on, Donny, interject, mate. Go on.
No, I just laugh at him, mate. Never mind. I'll get my say later. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, but I've been high on him for a while now, probably since the Chavez fight. I think he's a fantastic fighter, Thurman. He can box a bit, he can punch really hard. He's got bollocks. I see him, not just because of his cornrows, but I've said it a few times, stylistically he shows a lot of similar traits to David A.
Yep.
Although he just appears to be a far more ballsy fighter than that, and yeah, I'm well eye on him.
Donny, you were saying like you wanted to get in there when you go?
No, I was just laughing when he's like, I thought he was another overhyped American prospect. But I mean, I think Keith Thurman is the goods. I've said it for a long time. The first person to get me sort of on the hype train, if you will, was Matty DiGianardo. I think he got us all looking at Thurman even before a lot of people were. Interesting thing with Thurman is that he actually was kind of nobody for a while, and he got on an HBO card. I think it was like a favor they did for Heyman or whatever. Like I think it was back in 2012 or was maybe, and he was supposed to be an opponent for Maidana. And Maidana, like, apparently, like, heard some things. He heard, like, this kid's actually pretty legit. And so Maidana pulled out of that fight. And I think Thurman ended up fighting, I don't know, somebody else who, just wasn't particularly good. But anyways, that was his first foray onto HBO. But he was a sort of accidental star. I mean, Broner has been built intentionally, but Thurman just went out and just does his business and knocks people out. And so, that's how he's really made his own way in this game. And last night rather was really the sort of signature touch on that. I was really impressed. He went out before a national audience, and I mean, it would have been great if he could have stopped Guerrero, but he showed a lot of his skills last night, and I was very impressed. And I thought, that was exactly what he needed. I mean, it's hard to knock Guerrero out. He has an iron chin. But he looked as good as you can possibly look without knocking somebody out, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, I mean, I think I've said it before, mate. Just with Donny mentioning about Broner, Matty D, I remember going back 2 years with Matty actually basically stating that Thurman is the goods. I kind of got on the train maybe about a year later. Are you on that train yet, mate?
Well, I am on the train. I'm sort of hanging off the side of the train, when you can't get a spot on it. I'm sort of grabbing onto the top here as it's flying along, because I obviously said before the fight that I'd pick Broner to beat Thurman last week. Well, obviously I look a little bit stupid now, not for the first time about saying that, but we'll see. I mean, it was only one fight. But, Thurman hadn't totally convinced me before that fight. I still thought he had slight flaws. But I mean, he showed his speed last night and his timing got better as the bout progressed. I thought early on he was a little bit wild when he was going forward, and he does throw these sort of looping hooks, and he throws shots off balance a lot, which leaves himself open. But I mean, other than that, offensively, as he warmed into the fight last night, I was really impressed with him. I like the way he knows how to box and let his power do the talking. I think he's a lot better when he does that rather than going for it, trying to plant his feet whenever he just lets the power flow through. I think he's very good and he's exciting. I'm not complaining from an entertainment standpoint. I'm just wondering about when he steps up to the elite level, how he might fare if he doesn't sort of iron these flaws out. But yeah, I'm definitely starting to like Thurman. I'd like to see him go in with someone like Madonna, somebody who's going to chuck it on him for 12 rounds and not give him those respites and those breaks and push him up against the ropes and throw a lot of shots. I'd like to see how you deal against someone like that, and it was a really solid win last night. Very impressed. As for Guerrero, I think he needs to look at his future, to be honest. He's been around a while now. When I was watching the fight, I remember seeing him fight out in Denmark. I think it was about 10 years ago now, against Spencer Bassi. He was battering him around the place for some IBF fringe title, and he just seems to have been around for a long time, and he's had a lot of hard fights, and he's had a lot of trouble outside the ring. Obviously, his wife's not been well, so I think he might need to assess his future. But for Thurman, he's only going in one trajectory, and that's on the way up.
Yeah, but $1.25 million he got for that fight there last night, so definitely, I mean, Guerrero, he did take a complete pounding there last night. You just couldn't defend against that right hand. But the main thing also, Alex says, what we saw from Keith Thurman is he was asked questions last night. He came through it, and he came through it with a bad injury as well.
Yeah, I mean, he performed really well, and we saw in his last fight, a lot of people criticised him for the Bundu performance. I think mostly because a lot of Americans and boxing fans in general really hadn't heard of Leonard Bunda and didn't know what he was all about. So naturally, you just assume a big puncher like Thurman is going to put that guy away, a relative unknown. But he showed his boxing ability in that fight, and he showed his boxing ability last night as well. And that's more important in the long run rather than, just banging guys out left, right and centre. We know he's got the power. Now he's just got to utilise it along with the rest of his ability, and he did that last night, I think. He controlled the pace excellently against Guerrero. Dictated pretty much the entire fight, save for the 10th round where Guerrero, really came back quite strong. But a lot of people giving credit to Guerrero for that. Yeah, fair play. He got off of the floor. The massive hematoma that he had in his head, the split eye, just completely mess of his face, and he came back. But as you say, Thurman dealt with it well. He covered up well. He smothered Guerrero's work well, and he kept his defense. He could have easily engaged in a toe-to-toe war with Guerrero, but I don't think that would have benefited him. I think he was a bit more tired, especially in sort of the 10th and 11th round. He was starting to sag a little bit, starting to slow down a little bit. If he wanted to engage in this war with Guerrero, then I think Guerrero might have asked some more questions of him and tested his chin a little bit. I mean, I don't know what we really know about Thurman's chin at the moment, but he's still got to face another. There's not that many legit bangers apart from himself at welterweight to really give him big issues on his chin. So that'll be probably the only question that needs answering for Thurman, I think.
I really don't know. I mean, Carl, just going on the actual topic of the show itself, what did you make of the new layout of it? I mean, obviously we've seen probably the first moves now that Heyman's going to try and shun out the world ranking bodies or the world title bodies and stuff. We've seen Thurman's belt getting basically kind of thrown in the dustbin last night. Do you think we're going to head down the route that Heyman's going to try and bring in his own title, so to speak? I mean, who is Thurman going to fight next? I mean, can you actually see him being taken seriously, a kind of PBC welterweight title?
I mean, on the layout, it was something different, wasn't it? I can see people saying, there was no entourages and, the guy standing there on his own walking to the ring, there's no ring card girls and all this, but if everything's the same, then, what's it going to do? You got to have something different to see what we like and what we don't like. I think for the first show, yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to, I suppose, but I thought it was quite fine, to be honest. On the whole point of these titles that apparently Heyman might be bringing out, that's just rumours, theories, based on the whole issue with the bogus belt that Thurman has. I got no problem with it. Thurman's not a real belt holder. He's not a world champion. Floyd Mayweather's the champion of that whatever organisation, the WBA at that weight. I got no issue with that. We'll see, in future shows what they're going on. I know the Andy Lee will be defending his world title, so let's see what they do with that one. And obviously Garcia Peterson, he's at some bogus catchweight, and I know you could probably say, well, why is that happening? But Peterson's at a catchweight, not too long back, and so is Danny Garcia. I just think these two guys are, well, especially in Danny Garcia, he wants to move up, but then he's not sure, so he can do these catch weights, keep his titles to see maybe if he wants to have another fight at 140. That's the reason why I think it's not, what we want to see. But when we get good fights, to be honest, I don't really care about the bouts. And to me, it was refreshing to see two fights where they didn't mention all these titles. You didn't have, if that was on Showtime or HBO, you would have had them telling us Guerrero's a 4-weight world champion or whatever, interim champion or whatever it is. You would have had Thurman defending his regular bout. I was just glad to just get down to the fights. That's what we want to see. I hope they carry on dumping these titles.
It's only would be a start, but just any more of these bloody titles getting brought in and maybe getting subject to two things. Yeah.
Guerrero, Andy, is a typical example, isn't he, of why the alphabet belts are so bad for boxing. No harm to the guy, he's been a warrior all his career, but he really, whenever you say 4-time or 5-time world champion, it sounds so impressive, doesn't it, when you're reading it out? But if you look at the ins and outs of how he's got his shots and lost the belts and then gone back in again, it really isn't that impressive on paper.
he's picked up a lot of interim titles, hasn't he, as
Yeah.
well? I mean, he picked up like a featherweight title, but the rest of them have been interims. So, yeah, we don't need to hear about them. Show us what you got in the ring. And on the fight, Guerrero, what his problem was, he couldn't do what he wanted to do, like he did against Berto, where smother the puncher, stop the puncher from having leverage and space. Against Berto it worked because Berto is obviously not as talented as Keith Thurman. He couldn't do it to Thurman, who obviously showed that he's not just a puncher, he's a boxer as well, and he's got good movement. And it wasn't until the last 3 rounds when Guerrero just obviously thought, fuck it, I've got to go for it, when he smothered Thurman. He was still getting caught with big shots, but that was really his only chance of winning, in trying to tire Thurman out and hurt him up close. But if he'd done that from the start, he might have got knocked out, or he might have tired Thurman out. But he just couldn't do it because Thurman was too good. Against Berto, who was more flat-footed, he could do it against, and it worked much better.
Sorry, just on the topic of the viewers, Donny, have you read anything basically official over there? I mean, some of the numbers coming out just now that the show averaged out at 3.13 million.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's according to David Greishman on Boxing Scene anyway.
yeah, I mean, well, that's a good enough source. No, I mean, I think that's pretty decent for the, for the first boxing card back on network TV in a long time. I bet you a lot of people probably would have watched it if they knew it was happening. But I mean, it's still a solid rating for that time slot. The thing is, though, is that it's probably not as solid as they would have wanted it, or Heyman and his team and everything, because I mean, they're spending gargantuan amounts of money for that, for that buying the time, and then also huge fight purses for all of the principals involved in last night's card. So, do they make enough to cover their costs with the advertising and stuff like that? I don't know. My guess would be probably not, but I think this is part of their strategy. Is over time it will build up a following, but you're basically trying to resell something to the casual sports fan who, will watch all sorts of different sporting events or whatever, but you're basically trying to sell something that person hasn't seen in a long time. And so I think it's a process, and they're not afraid to lose some money early because they're of the opinion and the hope that they will generate revenue later. So, just the same way that sometimes promoters will take losses on a fighter early on, right? They'll pay for him and give him good purses to fight in small halls and stuff while they're building up his record, building up his name, building up a following, because they know that when they get him later on to the level where he's fighting, eliminators and titles and things like that, that they'll make it all back if the prospect is worthwhile. So that's pretty much the idea, I think.
Just on that card, actually, Adrian Cloner utterly dominant against John Molina. Kurt, I know you were very vocal about this fight, mate. I ended up switching it off after 8 rounds, no, honestly. Switched it back on in time to hear the announcer say, about these two valiant warriors, and just gets absolutely booed out the park, Molina just constantly looking for that same punch, that overhand right, and he was like throwing it from the depths of hell, just trying to land it. Wasn't setting it up, wasn't faking it. Was just there was no feints, there was just no plan, I don't think, of John Molina there last night.
Well, I honestly think they could have went round to the local boss shouter and got someone who had a sign saying "We'll dance for food," and he would have put up a better effort. I never want to see Molina fight again. I mean, if you call that fighting, he was just terrible. It's not a criticism of Broner. Broner did his thing. He looked what he always does against those type of fighters. I don't see much improvement, if any, from since the Maidana loss. He's still pretty stationary. His head doesn't move. He still takes a few shots now and again, but all the blame goes on to Molina for me. That guy was just awful. I mean, all his talk beforehand saying, he wants to fight for his dead friends, his daughter, his relatives, his family, all this rubbish, and he turns in that performance. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect him to win, but put up a bit of an effort. I mean, we just talked about Guerrero there. he got battered for 9 rounds. In the end, he went for it and he tried. I didn't see one bit of trying from Molina apart from a right hand that you might as well throw it in underwater. To be honest, it was so slow. I mean, he just looked there for payday, in my opinion. His trainer was, Goosen was on at him. You got to throw punches. You got to be active every single round. He just wouldn't do it. He had a little bit of success in the third, but apart from that, he did absolutely nothing. And to me, he was just, his big chance on TV like that, and knowing that what a wing-off Broner can do. You only have to look at Maidana, and he didn't even look like he tried for most of it. He was pathetic, I thought.
The one thing is about Broner. At least he was on the jab pretty much last night as well. But at the same time, he also showed a good beard, but also again overweight. Guy doesn't live the life, guys. I'm telling you, this guy. You know, he was partly in the sauna for 2-3 days before the fight trying to make weight, and then they come in at 141. This guy's going to at some point be forced to move to 147.
What's his training team saying to him? I mean, where's Mike? You know, is anyone going to say anything to Mike Stafford? I mean, is this guy Broner just that headstrong, you know, complete lunatic that he won't listen to anybody? I mean, is Stafford trying to tell him these things? Is he just letting him do his own thing? I mean, is he getting conditioning advice off that big fat guy who combs his hair at the end?
That's just...
Hey, that's his dad, not some guy. But apparently he was in the contract, wasn't it? Him and Mares had the same thing. They could be +1. They could they could be a pound over or something. They wouldn't have to lose it or something. That's what I read anyway. I mean,
yeah, that's actually a Las Vegas regulation, and it's not just for boxing. It includes MMA as well. I just remember that because John, what was it? Was John Jones or Silver, one of those guys? They recently had a fight, and it was a non-title fight. So you're always allowed to come in 1 pound over. That's actually just a general thing for any Vegas card. As long as it's not for a title, it's you can come in 1 pound over.
Well, this is the Al Heyman disease, isn't it? He's the king of the catchweights. You know, he puts the catchweights on. His fighters see that all these weight discrepancies and blah, blah, blah are all acceptable, so they can just come in at whatever weight they want. It doesn't really matter.
Well, no. I'm saying that's specifically for Vegas. If you're having a non-title fight, if you come in at 141, that's a junior welterweight fight. If you come in at 148 for a non-title fight in Las Vegas, at 148, it's a welterweight fight. That's the rules. It's nothing with Heyman in particular. It's just the way it is.
I always assumed that was a UFC rule, considering that boxing matches are usually, the weight is usually stipulated on the contract.
Just on Broner's weight issue, I think it was Curtis mentioned he actually put on about 17 pounds there after the weigh-in.
17 pounds?
17 pounds. This is the thing, right? This is the guy that went up from super featherweight. He went up 17 pounds about the matter of 14 months. Right? Think about this, right? And then he's struggling to make 141. And he's then coming in back in at 17 pounds heavier. This guy's dehydrated, so he's killing himself at the scales.
It wasn't Thurman coming in yet.
Also very passive as well at the weigh-in.
Yeah, well, he probably has to tone it down for NBC.
Yeah, he said he was going to. A friend of mine interviewed him a couple of days ago, and he said there's a lot of kids watching, so he's going to tone it down.
I liked at the end when he was saying about the cans who can get it, and then they quickly just said, "Yeah, go away now, see ya."
Alright, because it's on some kind of terrestrial TV, are they asking him to tone it down or something? Because I remember a few years ago, whenever Brian Peters used to run shows on RTE over here, they had to get the ring card girls to sort of put on a frock for the main event because they wasn't going to be running around with like skimpy dresses on and stuff. So maybe it's the same sort of thing.
Well, Heyman is vetting all the interviews. For every fighter that's on this card, because I was supposed to interview Keith Thurman, it didn't happen in the end. But for every fighter that's on this card, you have to send all your interviews to the press agent beforehand. We all saw that, the press agents are tweeting on behalf of the fighters now. You have to give all the questions to the press agent beforehand, and they actually sit with the fighters during the interview. They don't want them saying anything untoward.
Yeah, they keep them on message. Did anyone see that thing where like Peter Quillen was supposed to be tweeting something out, like calling out Andy Lee, but in other words, it wasn't really him tweeting; it was Guerrero. Or I'm sorry, they had whoever was doing the tweeting for Heyman's organization.
Like, they got it mixed up.
Yeah. So for Robert Guerrero's Twitter account about Andy Lee.
Yeah, that was good. That was caught doing it.
That could happen to you, Kurt, when you're tweeting from Tommy's account and stuff.
Well, I could do it on purpose.
But seriously, though, I mean, just to give my 2 cents very briefly, if that's okay. I mean, Broner, he should change the AB to absolutely boring, because it was pretty always poor stuff. It was in the long term. That's the type of fight that won't add any miles onto his clock, considering he's got all these weight issues and blah, blah, blah. But, they need to step up the opposition. He showed in there that he's still uncomfortable dealing with pressure. Not that friggin' Molina put on much pressure, but he took a few right hands, and he was so afraid of being clocked that there was times when he just wasn't engaging at all. And, he could have stepped on the gas at one point.
That's the thing. Until he faces someone like the Provodnikov Matisse winner, we won't know if he's improved at all or if he's learnt anything. From what I've seen, he hasn't. But until he faces someone like that who's going to hit him and hurt him, then unless he can stop what they do, we won't know. But fighting guys like that, he'll look good but he won't tell us nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Finally
he's
on
not that good in my opinion.
Sorry, you go.
The funny part though is that Broner let the barring thing kind of work for him, because afterwards, he basically trolled the crowd and he said, I don't fight for the crowd anymore. Like he's sort of playing the ultimate heel, He's like, I don't fight for the crowd anymore because the last time I tried to fight for the crowd, I lost. So he's like, now he goes, I'm going to use my talents and not get hit. And he's like, and if people don't like it, I don't care.
It's like he's learning from Floyd all the time. I mean, Floyd says that, like when he's in a fight with Maidana or Cone, he says, I'm giving the fans what they want. And then in his next fight, he'll run and, not engage at all. I mean, so yeah, he's going to say that. I mean, but when he fights a puncher, like, ones I mentioned, that's the only way we'll see what he has about him.
Yeah.
Finally on that card, I think the only person to see his fight was Kyle. Kyle, how did Abner Mares look on his return?
It's quite a workman-like performance, really. There's not really much to say about it. And he won the fight. The journeyman chap, I can't even recall his name, but I'd never seen him before anyway. He actually gave a pretty decent effort, to be honest with you. Mares, to me, I was saying to you lads beforehand, he still physically looks all there, but there's something missing, do you know what I mean? Maybe up in the head or something, but I don't know, Mares, to me, he looks like he still could perform at the level he was performing at before, but if that was the case, he would not have. It didn't even look like he was trying to get the rounds in. He just was not quite there last night. It was an okay fight. It was a very much, he went through the motions, really, Mares. It was disappointing. I thought he was just going to smash matey up and say, I'm back, and he didn't.
Tell me, you need to get back down in weight. This foray up at featherweight isn't going to work, actually.
Yeah, well, the featherweight thing is a joke, but I mean, it's because of, didn't he move up after Gonzalez?
He fought Gonzalez at featherweight.
No, he was going to move up the fight to Takashi Miura, and obviously watched one of his fights and was like, fuck that.
Yeah. But that he doesn't belong at 126. He needs to go back down to 122, and that's where the action is. But, I mean, he's not going to do it because there's just too many good fighters down there right now, and I think he gets handled by all of them, to be honest with you. I still think Donaire would beat him, and Donaire looks shot.
To be honest, I actually think that he's over the hill as well. Abner Mares. Sorry, Alex.
I was just saying there's too many good fighters at 126 as well. He's sort of fucked. I mean, no matter where he goes, I think he's going to get beat by the elite opposition. So, what does he do? I mean, he can hold out for the Gonzalez rematch or the Leo Santa Cruz fight, but those are going to be his biggest paydays, and I reckon he'll lose both of them. And then where's he going?
Sorry, Mike, on mute there. Moving on to China, guys. Steve, I'll let you lead off. I think you've seen most of the undercard fights, mate. Now, the one thing about I had problems with Saturday, daughter having the big tantrums, terrible twos, as you know. So I think I was kind of fleetingly watching this fight, mate. So if you can actually just take it off the Chinese card, then we'll lead into the main event.
Okay, there was a guy from China who fought a Mexican called Palenzuela. That was a decent fight. I think the Mexican guy got it from what I remember. The other guy wasn't really up to much. This is real cutting edge analysis here that's going on. Glenn Tapia was on that card, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah,
he looked a beast, did he not, eh?
Yeah, I was impressed with Glenn Tapia, actually, because he started off boxing a lot more conservatively than he usually does, and he was using his skills, which he was able to do, I thought, in front of a more reserved crowd. If that fight was in America, they would have been booing him after the opening round, but it allowed him to just stand off the back foot, use his jab, use his movement a little bit. And Tapia perks my interest up a little bit because he's another one of the ones I sort of interviewed back early in his career, back for the old Hot Prospects thing. And I remember speaking to him along with his manager, Pat Lynch, who used to manage Arturo Gatti. And whenever I spoke to them, Gatti had only died like 2 weeks previous or something like that. So Lynch was still really very raw and emotional. But I remember him saying to me that he felt Tapia was going to be like this natural successor to Gatti, and he had this head first, crowd pleasing style, and that's the way he fought against James Kirkland, and he just got picked off, and he showed that he was in that class sort of a little bit too soon. But I think if he takes a step back like he did against Dawson, uses his skills, and then steps on the gas and sort of finds that nice little balance, I think he could be a really good fighter, Tapia. He spoke very well afterwards. He said he wanted the Kirkland rematch, and obviously we know Kirkland's got other bigger fish to fry at the moment, so that's not going to be happening anytime soon. But I think Tapia could be a real one to watch, even though he's not really a prospect anymore. I was impressed with him. One final thing, actually, I was going to ask him, I don't know if Donnie knows anything about this, but the NABO title was on the line for this. Now, that's the North American Boxing Organisation, is that right?
That's what it stands for, yeah.
Yeah, Tapia's the champion. So he was defending this North American boxing title in China against an Australian. I mean, how does that work?
You mean you're asking me about how the sanctioning bodies work with shit?
Yeah. Sorry.
However the fuck they can
That's
collect...
is that no actually an affiliation of the WBA?
The WBO, I think, is it, maybe?
The WBO.
Oh, yeah. But I mean...
The NABF, I'm thinking about them.
NABA,
I think it is, that's what it's... Sorry.
USBA is IBF, but NABO is WBO, but I'm just saying, yeah, any way they can collect a fucking fee, they're going to find it.
Exactly, well, that's fair enough. And so, yeah, I enjoyed
the character, Steve.
Who's that?
Ike Yang, that'd be, what weight was he at again?
He's welterweight, light
welterweight. Light welterweight is quality, mate.
Yeah, I like the look of him. Kyle, you go ahead, man, because I can't remember anything about this fight either.
I was just going to say the fight you mentioned earlier between the Chinese fella and I think the Mexican Valenzuela or whatever. Chinese fella was just sloppy. He got sat on his ass and then he come back a bit. They had a bit of a scrap, and I thought it was probably a draw. The Mexican fella nicked it. Ike Yang, if that's his name, he's quality, but he is a good Chinese fighter because he actually learnt his trade in South Korea. He lives in South Korea. He won a domestic South Korean title, and he learned from South Koreans, hence why he is actually decent, and all the other Chinese fighters are pretty terrible.
Pretty shit. Which also brings us on to the main factors, the main event, guys. Again,
what a war!
I think I've got to thank my daughter, actually, in her absence, that she took a tantrum and just basically distracted me right through that fight. I kind of fleetingly kept my eyes on it, but from what I did see of it, especially the last 3 rounds of it, anyway, it was just nothing but a kind of almost a whinge fest, cuddles and stuff like that. But I don't think there was any, from what I've seen of it anyway, to be honest, guys, I didn't see Ring Wrong actually even, I think maybe after 6, I think I'd be struggling to give Ximing at least 1 round.
I gave Ximing 3 rounds, and that
last
was
round?
because I gave Ximing the 7th round because Ruan Rong literally did nothing. I gave him the last round because Ruan Rong did nothing, and I gave him the 2nd round because obviously the knockdown in inverted commas, but it was an awful fight, wasn't it? It was fucking horrific. The only thing that really kept my interest and a lot of other people's interest was if they were going to actually rob Ruan Rong, because he wasn't even in our first gear in that fight. That was a glorified sparring session to him. You saw the look on his face. He was laughing. He was having a joke. He was doing little dances at the end of each round. He was having it incredibly easy. And you thought that the fact that he's messing about so much, he's jogging away using his footwork, being all fancy, barely throwing a punch around, you think, well, they're going to rob this, they're going to rob him for this, they've got an absolute excuse to rob him now. But fortunately they didn't, and he won, and he made Zhou Ximing look the shit that he is. And it's probably not going to be the last that we see of Zhou, because he's obviously a big star still there, and I think he'll fight other guys, but he's clearly not fit to be with the talent.
I see he's back out again on the 18th of July. What card is that for? Who's on that card?
He's fighting Satchel, isn't he?
I heard that, yeah.
Ike Yang's also on that card as well. Sorry, say that again. Who's he meant to be fighting next?
Satchel.
Kevin Satchel.
That's what I heard.
Seriously? For what?
He was going to fight him for if he got a title shot. Frank wrangled him a title shot if he'd won it, but alright, he ain't win the title, but he might still go and fight him.
It's a bigger payday, isn't it?
look, Zhu Shiming, right, he has been diabolical for years. I loved him back in the day when he fought Beijing and that. For the last few major amateur tournaments, he got gifts left, right and centre. And for this, okay, the fight was diabolical, but if one thing can reinstate our faith in boxing, it's the fact that even though he's probably the biggest cash cow prospect, so to speak, i.e. he could make a lot of money, they did not rob Runrong. And I know Runrong was awful in the fight and he didn't do much, but you got to think Runrong will do a lot better when someone comes at him.
Yeah.
And him trying to grab hold of Roman Gonzalez will be quite interesting, because he had to do it against McWilliams Arroyo, who hits really hard. Against Zhu Shiming, he barely had to do anything. And okay, even when he's in top gear, Runrong is not exactly exciting. He will still make for more interesting stylistic matchups with the likes of Estrada and Gonzalez, rather than Shiming being holding the title up in Macau, fighting the likes of Kevin Satchel.
Yep. Doesn't even bear thinking about. Yeah, but I like Runrong there. I think it was odd. The fact is that Shiming just couldn't really get into his distance from him. Couldn't even. I mean, I think Ioka even gave him a better fight. Actually, it was just as Alex says, a complete and utter snooze.
Ioka knocked Shiming out, mate. I guarantee you.
So who, mate?
Yeah.
I'm saying Ioka would knock Shiming out.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, definitely.
Easy.
No problem about that. Easy work. So, Shiming, as I said, I don't think I've actually seen one of his fights. That's quite odd that actually just now I come to think about it. I'm just looking through all his fights just now. I think out of all the fights that Shiming's had, that's his 7th fight. I think I've only seen his debut right through. I've never watched any other of his fights complete from start to finish.
The last one was alright, mate. The one on the undercard of Pacquiao and Algieri, that was actually quite good. He actually looked alright in that fight. Okay, he's quite sloppy, but he gave it a go for a good 12 rounds. I actually quite enjoyed that fight.
Just looking at the rankings, actually, is Casamayorno really the number 1 contender for Runrong now, no? Flyweight, where are we here?
Who's that? Oh, Casemiro, yeah?
Casemiro, yeah.
The Filipino guy, yeah, he is, yeah.
I said Joel Casemiro.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What do you think it was?
Joel. Sort of smoking dope and off the munchies. Now he can make flyweight.
Aye, just looking through him just now. Aye, beat that Mauricio Fuentes in the first round knockout.
I think Runrong might actually go down. He weighed 108 pounds for the weigh-in for Arroyo, so maybe they want to try and make him like the first ever 2-weight Thai champion or something. Light flyweight is dead, so there is a chance. He can make 108 pounds on the day of the fight. He might look big in the ring, but he's not a big guy.
Now, going on to the Sky card, now who's seen this card? I think you've seen it, Alex. I think, just looking through my notes here, trying to get myself
We're on
prepared at the
Fridays.
same time.
Are we on Saturday or Friday?
Saturday, mate. Saturday's
Okay.
card. Now, you never saw any of this, did you?
No, mate. I did. To be honest with you, I forgot to even Sky Plus it. If Adam was here now, I'll tell him Eddie Hearn is a shithouse for that card.
Well,
Adam's pretty pissed off, I
tweeted
think.
during the week that, to be honest, if it was ever going to be a card that should have been shown on Fight Pass, it was that one last night. Okay, Shane Singleton against Eggington was a good fight, decent enough scrap. Tommy Coyle, I thought was getting handled pretty. I thought he was getting handled pretty easily actually with Mark Gethin. Got dropped like a bad habit in the second round, and he looked all over the place actually. Rocky Fielding, that was a bore 8-rounder, even though he's come back from surgery or whatever it was. He's been out the ring, but that was a poor fight. Luke Campbell, basically, kind of business as normal. They're going to hype up. Is this going to be a stadium fight? This Coyle Campbell fight? To be honest, guys, this is another one. This is another mismatch. In all honesty.
Hold on. When you talk about that fight, you have to refer to it as the Summer Showdown.
The what?
The Summer Showdown. That's where they're plugging it.
I'm gonna call it whole lot of shit.
Whole lot of shit. Steve,
Summer
Sky
mismatch.
need to get the finger out here, mate, don't they?
Yeah, I blame Sky, not Eddie. You know, Eddie will put on all the shit of the day if he's being allowed to. It's like, you know, the Sky used to show all this IBO, WBU stuff around
Quality control.
the 2000s, yeah, and then they got fed up with it and they said no more IBO, WBU and all these silly titles. We're going to only British title fights, European title fights, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've slowly let the standards slip again. When, you know, there's a monopoly now on who's putting the fights on, which is fair enough, whatever, but they should make sure that there are the sort of, you know, British, Commonwealth, European title fights going on, none of these interim things and all these CAC opponents being brought over. So yeah, I would lay the blame down at Sky's door personally.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Steve. Because I mean, I didn't see this card this weekend or whatever. I wouldn't have had a chance to. But even if I did have a chance to, I wouldn't have, attempted to do so because you guys were saying it was so bad. I mean, pretty much. And the thing is that I mean, it's fine to have, fights where basically all the guys are just they're like kind of tick over fights. Where you're not having a lot of 50-50 fights. So that's fine. But I mean, they don't have to be televised. You know what I mean? Save your televised cards and put your best fights on TV, and the other ones should be, local shows that, you're making your money off the tickets or whatever. But the thing is stable's so big that everybody's got to eat.
Kyle.
Just quickly, I was going to say I had a pretty interesting theory that Matchroom have kind of got Sky over a barrel because they provide a lot of content to Sky, not in terms of boxing, but in terms of so many other sports. So Sky can't really piss them off too much because what with the darts and everything, and I think they have a pretty good relationship with Sky. So I think Eddie probably be allowed to run rampant, really.
Really shame, but Alex, you're actually saying the Dark Arts were brought to play there last night in that Geffen against Coyle fight. Give me a fake, mate. Give me a conspiracy. Don't tell me you're saying like Matty and Donny, like,
He's got his American conspiracy theory hat on.
Right.
Come on, Alex, tell us.
Let's not start with that fight. We'll start with the first fight on the card, which was Eric Otchieng against Tom Knight, I think it was.
Yeah.
That fight was fucking ridiculous. It was not a draw by any means. Eric Otchieng beat the shit out of Tom Knight. For the first 5 rounds, he absolutely dominated, dropped Tom Knight twice, but then somehow, conceded a draw in the fight because Howard fucking Foster was the one scoring the fight. And do you know who wins when it's a draw? Eddie fucking Hearn wins when it's a draw. He's got a new betting sponsor, BetSafe. Now, I've never fucking heard of them. Adam said he's never fucking heard of them. And the best way to please your betting sponsor is to get a draw because they all fucking clean up then. So I'm pissed off about that. Rocky Fielding's fight went the distance. I imagine the fucking gambling and the betting office cleared up on that because so many people would have said he would have scored a knockout. And now getting to the Geffen fight, Geffen was beating the shit out of Tommy Coyle, absolutely smashing him to pieces. He nearly knocked him out, dropped him like a fucking sack of shit in, what was it, the second round, the third round?
Yeah.
We know that Coyle's chin is made of glass. Any fight against him, Geffen can't even fucking punch. He can't crack an egg, but he nearly sparked him clean out. He was gone. If this, if it was a foreign opponent, if it was Ian John Lewis in there, he would have stopped that fight. But, he got up, Coyle, he fought back, he did well, he managed to survive. But then, the couple of rounds afterwards, Geffen did absolutely nothing. He stalked in the centre of the ring and threw out a couple of lazy jabs, a couple of right hands, and he just stayed in the middle of the ring. He didn't try pushing Coyle to the ropes. Coyle, who was still probably on, wobbly legs, was circling around, trying to pick his moments, throwing in a couple of punches. But Geffen did absolutely nothing until, I think it was the 5th or 6th round, when it cuts to an advert and we come back, the fight's over. Why is the fight over? Because Geffen has fucking quit. Why has Geffen quit? Because, he popped his eardrum. That's a very convenient excuse for Geffen, who apparently has a lot of issues with that. But he seemed fine. He said, yeah, I've popped my eardrum. I don't feel well. That's brilliant, mate. You got paid off. And I believe you got paid off so you can make this stupid, ridiculous, absolute mismatch of a fucking fight against Luke Campbell, who will destroy Tommy Coyle whenever he fucking wants.
Oh dear.
Oh, we're going to get sued this week.
I don't know, well, Alex has also been pissing off Mr. Anthony Lever as well. Alex, what happened there, mate?
He's a soft fucking little prick. That's what happened there.
just to let Mr. Anthony Lever know, is those thoughts are not the thoughts of the entire Box Style Nuthouse podcast team. It's Alex's own. We've all got our own thoughts and opinions on you, etc. But we'll leave that just now. Just remember, Anthony, let's get back to us. We're trying to get Eddie Hearn back on the show, so let's get back to his ASAP. Was anyone actually, to be honest, actually, I know your pain there, Alex, no, honestly, because I was fucking raging as well when it cut to the advert, came back at the 5th round and the fight was off, because I did feel that Geffen just really could have rewritten Eddie's future for him, actually, if he can manage just to kind of keep himself going. Coyle was gone. He was fighting through the fog there last night.
I've said what I need to say. Go on.
Is Kurt here?
I think he's here.
Oh, was that question to me?
Aye, sorry, mate.
Well, I don't agree with Alex's view about the whole conspiracy. I just think Geffen, he caught him with the left hook, and he looked like he'd put him out, to be honest. And I thought Coyle, did well to actually see out that round. I just think Geffen just thought to himself, I can hurt this guy. Maybe didn't expect it beforehand, and he just went looking for it. He got lazy and thought, well, I don't need to box now. I can just wait for the opening and I'll get it. And I don't think that he pulled out the fight. It was a bit of a bitch move, because it could have been a good fight down the stretch, because Coyle was throwing a lot of punches. He was obviously hurt as well, but Geffen wasn't doing much. But can we really expect much more? I mean, he's not the best, is he? Let's be honest. But he knew he could find a home for that left hook, and I think he went a bit headhunting with it, and that he just didn't do nothing, and he was just trying to walk him onto the ropes to try and land it again, I thought. But the whole summer showdown bullshit. I mean, I got no problem with them making that fight and
making some money.
It sells in whole. But do they need all this build up? I mean, how many fights now of these or cards of these two been on together? And then we're gonna have like the
Campbell documentary.
Then the 3 months of hype to do. I mean, why not just make the fight, get it off with? Campbell beats him whenever he wants. A minute into the fight, he could beat him. Let's just put the fight on and make the money and get on with it. But all this build up for a domestic fight, this is where the love of domestic fights, big domestic fights, gets too much, because it turns into every rivalry we must see. This we don't really need to see, and we don't need all the build up for it. It's a mismatch. Tommy Coyle's not very good. Campbell will beat him whenever he wants.
That's the thing that annoys me with it, is it's not even a real rivalry. They all the way through they've constantly said, "Oh, we're great mates. We went on the road together during the amateur days." Tommy Coyle saying, "Oh, I sparred with him. I helped him out for the Olympics and all this shit." And it's not a rivalry. They don't hate each other. They say they're good mates. They get on with each other. But then Tommy Coyle's trying to, G it up by saying, "Oh, I'm going to knock him out. I'm going to do this to him." It's just utterly pointless. It's worse and more fake than the stupid Tony Bellew's hating of Nathan Cleverly because he's got a fucking maths degree. It's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, the whole thing is quite contrived, isn't it? And I was saying this earlier offline, actually. Coyle's not really good enough to be built up into this position, because he's like an accident waiting to happen. They're trying to put him on these fights against the likes of Gethin to try and build a bit of interest, and then they stuck him in with like a Shopcat Cedis, and, you always get the impression that he's just going to get knocked out before this fight comes along. They just need to hurry up and make it, because I don't think Coyle could, live through another fight in between. But regarding Gethin, just briefly, there's always been something missing with Gethin, isn't there? I think he's a pretty decent fighter at domestic level, and he's upset the odds in the past. He's took a few unbeaten records and got a few wins where he wasn't expected to win, but he always has like a sort of a quit in him, like he'll fade. And even against Diaz, when he got that surprise world title shot, I thought that Diaz was there to be got at. I'm not saying Gethin would have beaten him, but Gethin got the jab going early, and at times I thought, he could make a decent fight of this. And then he just lost all confidence, didn't believe he was going to win the fight, and got knocked out in about the 7th round. There's just something missing from a decent fighter in Gethin.
But after that performance from Cole as well, I mean, at the end he was trying to really big up this summer showdown. The crowd just didn't seem very enthused at all, did they? He was saying, I wasn't very good tonight, but for that fight we'll get it on and give you all what you want. And the crowd just didn't seem, after that performance. I mean, they were all up for it before, but after seeing that, I think it makes it even more obvious that they're going to be paying a lot of money to see what a bad sparring session.
Does anybody know this matchmaker guy on Twitter? Matchmaker at the fight. The fight maker. He's just tweeted Rocky Fielding there calling in. Says get him to call into the Box Asylum podcast and call out one of the Smith brothers. Can anybody? I remember Matty saying he was high in Rocky Fielding. I said, Matty, I just don't see it, mate. I think Paul.
You sure Matty wasn't just high then?
Maybe, because to be honest, I don't rate Paul Smith, but I think Paul Smith would knock him out.
Who, Fielding?
Yeah.
Well, if Fielding got Smith first, he'd knock him out, I think, because Smith isn't the toughest around the whiskers. Although saying that, he held up to Abraham's punches, but I heard Fielding hits like a beast in sparring.
Yeah, he has a beast on any of the journeyman opponent he's fighting, though. I think everyone's saying it's a 50-50 fight. I don't even like Paul Smith. I reckon he'd have too much for Fielding, mate, who is crude to say the least.
I think Smith's chin might be a little bit better than people give him credit for, because when he fought De Gale, I mean, I don't remember him actually getting sparked out. It was sort of more of an accumulative beating, and De Gale's speed, his flexibility, athleticism were just too much for Smith. And against George Groves, it was one of them punches you literally don't see coming. It was just an arcing hook from nowhere that just caught him completely bang on the chin, and you could argue that would knock anybody out. So maybe old Smigger is a bit tougher around the beard than we think, perhaps.
Yep, especially after 24 rounds with Abraham as well. You know,
yep.
especially in the rematch. I think he was a third or the fourth round. I think he was visibly hurt, and I think he admitted that himself. He was kind of fighting through a fog of mist for like 4 or 5 rounds there afterwards. You know, so Bradley Saunders. I really need
less said about that, the better.
Need to get him to class a fair bit. I mean, Dave Ryan's going to be a decent enough fight, I suppose. But I think they've really got to be kind of pushing him forward after this. I mean, that's what in the last year there. I think the only name I can really recognise on his record from there is that Mitch Prince in the last year or so.
Who did he fight Dave Ryan last night?
No, actually he's fighting Dave Ryan next month, 4th of April.
I can't see him having much trouble with that. I remember Dave Ryan fighting over here on one of the early Frampton undercards about 5 years ago. He lost on points in a 6-rounder to Stephen Hoggian. So, I mean, I'm not really sure what much cop Dave Ryan is, although he did beat McCluskey, didn't he?
Beat McCluskey, aye. He lost to Woodhouse as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he also lost to Sam Eggington, so. Which, on that point, the Sam Eggington fight, actually, I mean, I think, what's his name? Oh, fuck, where's my notes here? Who was he fighting last night? Singleton, that's who it was. Alex, you've got to kind of say that was a decent enough fight. I mean, that's just like kind of perch up slightly last night.
Yeah, it was a good little fight. I mean, I quite like Sam Eggington. He's just, you know, he's obviously very limited and he's not going to go that far, but he always tries his best. You know, he's always like giving it a go. He's always in a little war, and he's always producing, I wouldn't say upsets, but you know, wins that you don't really expect him to win so comfortably. I mean, Singleton, he's vastly overrated anyway. He's not really up to much. I think he got a gift against Curtis Woodhouse. You know, last night he just looked a mess. He was getting smashed all over the place. You know, it's a decent enough win for Eggington, and I think what they're going to probably do with him is build it up a Frankie Gavin fight or something like that, which I imagine Frankie will probably just school him. But, you know, given what Frankie's like, he's a bit hot and cold, Eggington might do well, and the good thing about Sam Eggington is all the egg puns that you can do. Which is what a lot of us were doing on Twitter last night, you know, which was fantastic.
See if you can work that into the download section, Kurt. That'd be quite good, just to kind of wrap off that Sky card. So if you're going to download this again, just listen back, but roughly around about. I was mixed up here. But if you roughly listen to about 52 minutes, you'll hear what Alex thinks about this about Sky card last night and where it should have went. Now, what else? Were there any other fights? Oh, aye, the Friday night card. My fucking mind's all over the place in it, you know that?
That's the one, mate, that's the one.
Nah, it was a good scrap. Well, no, it was a good scrap, but the fact is that Tete, you know, it's all on Tete against his IBF super flyweight title against Paul Butler. Butler just had no idea how to deal with him there. Absolutely none whatsoever, and he just never seen that uppercut landing as well, didn't he? Brave to get up from it, but just back to the drawing board. I mean, the reach of Tete was absolutely. I mean, he just looked a different weight class to him, didn't he?
He did.
Well, I think that he's taller than, or he's got someone. I think someone said a question, possibly for Twitter, Twitter questions later. But he's got a reach longer than all of the guys at featherweight. I think, apart from like Walters, and he's taller than like all the featherweights as well. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Butler didn't seem to have much of a game plan. I mean, I saw the build-up. He was talking about Tete was a quitter and he couldn't handle the pressure and the hostile reception and all this, and that basically they seem to bank a lot on him. You know, not having the basically the will to get through a fight. with Butler in the atmosphere, and I just thought that was strange. And Teddy just completely looked levels above poor Butler, and I like Butler, but he didn't have any clue at all. There was no game plan. He just stood at the same range and he didn't do anything. He was just eating the jab, and Teddy could literally do what he wanted with him. The uppercut he threw a few times before, and he didn't quite connect with it. It was there all night for him, and he threw it about 30 seconds before he landed it for the finishing blow. And Butler was round after round. He was getting told not much, to be honest. He was coming out and doing exactly the same thing. He wasn't trying to get close. He was just standing on the outside and eating the jab, and he couldn't do anything, to be honest. And it was just a really easy fight. And even to the people who thought Teddy was going to win, I don't think they would have saw it being that easy. I mean, he won every minute of every round.
I assumed that he was going to get robbed, to be honest with you, because I did say beforehand, watch out for the backhand uppercut. I didn't think he was going to catch Butler that sweet of it, but he did. And I think Butler was a bit overrated, to be honest with you. Anyway, I think people got excited because he's one of the few decent British fighters around that sort of weight class. I think Stuart always bog standard sort of domestic European sort of level, and Butler beat him, but that was competitive. Teddy's definitely a level. Yeah, Teddy's definitely a level above that. I think Teddy's about an inch shorter than Golovkin, and I think he's got like an inch longer reach, which is mad.
That's insane. That's insane, especially if I get guys super flyweight as well.
Yeah, he used to fight at flyweight. He used to fight at flyweight, mate.
Yeah, I mean, Butler next though, I mean, obviously they need to try and build him back up, but obviously they go down the European level after fighting for a world title of sort up at bantamweight. I mean, the Yafai fight is obviously the most logical fight to get made, but then obviously you got the promoter issues. You're going to have to get over some Mexicans. Actually, you need to take him on the European level just now and let him kind of rebuild from this one.
Where is he in the rankings? Yeah, that's what I was just going to say that actually, Andy. I think he was in the quite high in the WBO rankings, and there was talk of him fighting Conlan. Now, Conlan's left John Breen now and gone over to this MGM gym in Spain, and they're talking about pushing him on. I think he's like... Conlan might actually be like 4th or 3rd or something.
He's 4th, and Butler was ranked 11th with WBO.
Oh, right.
What else? Try to see if they're ranked with
taking the now you're in your way route. That's not very advisable either, is it?
Wouldn't fancy that. But a fight between the two of them, if they could get something on the line, I don't know if they could get European title or something. But I mean, Butler, it's another kick in the nuts for Frank, isn't it? Really? I mean, he's going to have nobody left soon. He's going to have to keep hold of Butler. I mean, he's not going to run over to Eddie. You wouldn't have thought, but you never know. But it was knockout of the year, that, wasn't it, really? I mean, I hadn't seen anything of Tete at all, even. Like, he was just a surprise package as far as I was concerned.
Did you see Frank's reaction at ringside, though? I mean, he was, really... But I like the way he tried to play it cool at the end. He was like, Amir Khan got knocked out in one round by Brace Fescott. He didn't stop him. I just love the way he tried to style it out. That's Frank.
Well, do you think they regret the route they've taken now? Because, I mean, they got the Stuart Hall fight, won the title. Now Caballero was sort of knocking about, but they took him back down again in weight to try and make this history. They must have known about Tete. I mean, I didn't know anything about him. But, you never know what you're going to get with these Africans, do you, sometimes? Whether it's going to be like a Munyai coming over. Do you remember the guy who beat Power and Haskins and all them? I mean, he was a complete beast. Or is it going to be a Samuel Kabady? I mean, Andy, you'll maybe remember old Sam Kabady, who fought Scott Harrison in his WBO reign. I mean, you never exactly know what you're going to get. But one actual thing that I was going to quickly say there, was just a referee watch here. Phil Edwards did a good job. I'm not complaining about him, but I would like to see, if the fight's in the UK and there's a UK boxer involved, a neutral referee, not a British referee.
Yeah, just when I can't forget who mentioned it, but Inoue, I think it was you, Kyle, maybe mentioned it. I see he's maybe potentially out for a year with a hand problem that he picked up against Narvaez. That's a fucking gutter.
Oh mate, I didn't even know that. That's devastating because they want to make the Gonzalez. If they want to make the Gonzalez fight for New Year's Eve, that ain't going to happen because no way do I want him to come back and his first fight be Gonzalez. That's all the momentum lost. You want that to be a super fight. I think that's devastating, mate, to be honest with you.
At least 9 months out, wasn't it?
At least I think it said August, but then it could potentially push into next year.
Is Little Brother's good though? That's right, his Little Brother's good. We'll watch him instead.
See, he's ranked 7 with the WBC, but I tell you whatever route Paul Butler does go down, I think even at the fringe world level, there is some tough fights out there. I mean, Kameda, tough fight. The Filipino that Arthur, after that, is it Valenyev, Luis Concepcion would be a tough all-out war. I mean, he would just come straight at him. You know, they get the other Inoue brother, Sonny Boy Yarrow. I mean, that's probably a winnable fight. But what do you call him? Ringy Veze. That's just
Carlos Quadras is WBC, isn't he? Super flyweight. He'd batter Butler, I reckon. Yeah. Butler's a good fighter, but people need to stop thinking like he's going to be some sort of world level, actual, genuine champion, because he's not, in my opinion. I like him, but he's not that good.
Andy, what do you think about the route he took? I mean, am I out of order there? I mean, the way they sort of moved him around the weights, you know, it seemed like they were so confident with what they were doing. I mean, do you think they dropped a bollock there, or what?
Oh, they've obviously seen it as a winnable fight, but as I think it says, that the longer that fight went, especially after 7 or 8 rounds, you know, Butler badly tired and Hall came on top, and Hall isn't a great fighter in all honesty. Certainly was just a guy who sort of was an easy title grab in all honesty. But if you look at the top 5 guys across any of these sanction bodies and stuff, I wouldn't really rank or really give Butler much of a chance for any of them in all honesty. David Sanchez as well. Even that guy that Inoue knocked out, and you think it was his first fight or his second fight, was it Ollie Dong? I think he would even give him a hard fight as well.
Oh, Ollie Dong Sif Samachai, is he up in super flyweight? Is he? Yeah, that's the guy. Did Ioka beat him for the WBC strawweight title?
It was Ioka. That's who it was.
Yeah, he's the guy who jumped from strawweight to super flyweight. He's one of the classic Thais that have fought about 70 fights against journeymen. But yeah, he'd probably beat Butler as well.
Such childish on this fucking Skype chat. You see Ollie Dong, look at them all now, coming out with the fucking big ding dong jokes. Shut a wanker. Come on. Keep it
have
clean
some
tonight.
Respect for the Thais, boys. Have some respect for the Oily Dong. Oh, that's just crass. I'm so happy that the listeners don't have to read this chat.
Well, you're reading it out anyway.
I think
Cheesy Dong.
I'm sure you lot make half of these names up anyway.
They're obsessed with dongs, Steve.
I was gonna say it'd be funny if like, you know, are you guys talking about that big tall guy Dong or the other Dong?
Little Dong.
The big dong. We're on about the big dong.
Well, I was gonna say
about the oily Dong.
If you came in and put in a listless performance, you could just say Dong just looked flaccid in there last night.
Very limp performance from Dong.
You thought we couldn't hit a new low, listeners? You were wrong.
Yeah, we better move on because there could be children listening to this or women listening to this, you know, as one promoter told me.
Well, children need to learn about the Dong fighters as well. They need to learn how Dongs do.
Big slop. Anyway, guys, on to Twitter questions. Nunez is asking, I think we touched upon it earlier in the show, but Broner no making weight, etc. He's asking, can Broner make 140 without the assistance of the Magic Man Al Heyman +1? No, well, I've made my comments on it. This is a guy who claims he can make lightweight, Donny, and to be honest, mate, he couldn't make lightweight if he cut his fucking legs off. he actually, another thing as well, Molina looked, I don't know if it's just because Cloner's stance last night, but fucking Molina looked way bigger than him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. I mean, I think he just needs to live the life between fights. And I mean, I remember Bradley, you know, after the Pac fight was really depressed. He got death threats and stuff like that. And I remember he had to cut a bunch of weight when he came in to fight Provodnikov. He came in the ring that night at like 160 something or whatever. And I mean, for a guy that came up from 140, that was a lot of weight for Tim Bradley. I mean, and he hasn't done that since. You know what I mean? So it's not like, I don't think he's tight at the weight. I think to even suggest that is crazy. I just think that he just needs to obviously rededicate himself to some training. I mean, not that he didn't look bad last night, but I mean, against a higher quality opponent, he won't get away with that. I mean, you can not live the life between fights, you know, here and there, but like really, if you're a professional dedicated to your craft, you don't do that. And you know, that's why Floyd is who he is, and that's why Broner isn't Floyd. But I mean, if he just you know, cuts that nonsense out and trains hard and eats right, he'll be fine to stay at 140 for the foreseeable future.
And fight who?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Yeah.
Danny Garcia.
But Garcia's moving up, and he actually is tight at the weight. I mean, he probably does need to move up.
He can fight Lamont Peterson then.
You could fight Peterson. That'd be a good fight. I'd like that.
Next question comes in from Tim Rhodes. How did the panel rate the quality of production of the Hull show, Alex?
Oh, the production was fantastic, wasn't it? From the guy wearing the stupid white TMT hat in the crowd to, the fantastic rewalk and the production values of the promotional videos for the Great Summer Showdown and the after-ring interviews with Tommy Coyle, who claims that he aimed for Geffin's ear because he read it on BoxRec. It was a fantastically produced show.
Anybody want to dispute that? Is Alex talking shite, just hating again, disguising it up as sarcasm?
I think, to be honest with you, he has not sold the show as good as it was. I didn't even watch it, and I know it was probably the greatest card ever put on by anyone.
There we go. Matt's from always delivering. Next question. If my bloody internet would work. Here we are. From Paul. Donny, this is kind of more like put to you, mate, and I think I know the answer to this one already, actually, but is Donny Baseball one of the people Amir Khan offered a £4,000 to be part of a foursome? Well, no, Donny. What were you doing? You hide in the wardrobe, yeah?
Was that from Shep?
No, that's from Paul.
Okay. Good work, Paul. That was a good one.
Truthful. Come on, now. Have you got £4,000 to offer him, man?
What?
Doesn't matter. Fuck, you're not listening to me.
Sorry.
Andy Roy, Kurt. Question for the Mora. Who wins? Oh, in fact, I'll go to you with this one, Kyle. Tete against Inoue. And what is the fight likely to happen? Cheers, Inoue for me.
I think it's an interesting fight, actually, because unlike Narvaez, Tete is in his prime. He's big. Inoue does like to come forward. He's smart, but he's not exactly unhittable. And Tete's a big physical force. If you look at all of his fights, apart from the fight with Maruti Mutlani, probably pronounced that wrong, who was actually a shit-hot flyweight a couple of years ago, really underestimated in my opinion. Tete has basically got robbed in in his other two losses, or at least they were close fights. So I think he is pretty much the second best man, really, at super flyweight. Quadras is good. Any combination of those three guys, I think you could see any kind of outcome. But I'll go with Inoue to win. I think he is a bit of a special fighter, and assuming his chin holds up to Tete's counters, I think he'll get to him later on in the fight.
Kurt Richard Shama is asking, is PBC making a huge mistake doing away with the ring card girls, ring announcers, entry music and entourages?
I think they're just trying something different. I mean, I'm sure with feedback they get, they'll probably introduce some of them back, but I think for the first show they just wanted to try something new and see how it looked. I mean, the whole entourage thing I don't really care about. The announcers not really bothered about. The ring card girls, I think we all like to see them, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure they won't stick to the same format because people are going to be letting them know what they didn't like, what they did like. But I mean, just on that though, did anyone think Sugar Ray Leonard was a bit off last night with his commentary?
I've never really rated Leonard as a commentator. Never ever. Even going back to like the 80s.
Well, I mean, he hasn't done it in a long time, though. I mean, you have to remember...
He did Froch against Booty for, who was that for? Was it Wealth TV, I think it was?
I just thought his constant quote, I'm so impressed with Molina. He's holding his own against a very good fighter. He said it about 5 times within the first 4 or 5 rounds. He just kept repeating it, even though he was basically a punch bag and he wasn't doing nothing. And then I don't know. I think he got better, and for the second fight he was fine. But I think it took him a while to get going, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that he's such a big name that I think that they, because they have maybe found somebody who was maybe a better commentator. Like Paulie Malignaggi wasn't, the best fighter, but I mean, like he was a very good fighter. But I'm just saying, like Leonard is like an all-time great. I mean, but the thing is that Malignaggi is like clearly a better commentator, and I think that for this like series that they were going to put out there to network TV, they wanted an immediately recognizable name, and so I think Leonard's a good choice in that regard. I mean, he just, but like I said, it was his first major card in a long time. I mean, I know he used to do it for HBO back in the day. In the 80s, but I mean, and Andy says he did one for Well TV recently, but I mean, he could get better. I mean, I'm not gonna judge him off that one performance the first time out for a long time.
Next question, Andrew Lee Evans. No, Alex, I don't know if you can actually expand on this question, because you've actually said it all. Geffen retirement was dubious as fuck. So what was that hair and sky corruption to say the Summer Showdown card? Just let me ask you, Alex, do you think that fight's going to end up on a pay-per-view card somehow? Because Heron's really desperate to get a pay-per-view card out at some point.
See, I'm not sure if it will be a pay-per-view, but by itself, it's not a pay-per-view fight. It fills a stadium in Hull. It's really big in Hull. It could do pay-per-view in Hull, but no one really gives a toss about it for the rest of the country. So they would really need to put on, a big title fight, other big names and things like that, or a patented Matchroom stacked undercard. But I still don't think we'll get that. So either it's going to be an outrageous pay-per-view where he gets an absolute slate in, or it's just going to go ahead as it is and hopefully not be pay-per-view. I answered earlier what I thought of the Geffen coil mess, and I do think it was a fix.
Just on that, actually, Daniel Gordon, Martin Hurry's basically can almost asking, but we've already stated actually as well. It's just, am I the only one that thinks the huge Hull fight between Coyle and Campbell will be an anticlimax with Coyle destroyed easily? I think we're on a kind of agreement as that is going to happen. But Daniel Gordon asks next, Steve, who do you rate Tommy Coyle amongst the British lightweights after his tactical masterclass pinpointing Geffen's dodgy ear?
British lightweight, who's at lightweight these days?
Mitchell, Burns, Crawler.
Mitchell, Burns, Crawler.
Flanagan, Ormond.
Oh, well, no. I mean, I wouldn't put Coyle above any of them guys, to be honest with you. And early on in his career, Coyle was a bit of a crowd pleaser. He sold a lot of tickets in the whole region, and he was looking to get on a few of the Irish cards, actually, I think. He seems like a decent enough guy, but I think he's been sort of blown up beyond his proportion. Obviously, they've seen the ticket seller in him. They've seen the potential for this big Hull showdown, as contrived as it is. And they're running with it. I mean, fair play to him. He's getting a few paydays, and he's done well for himself, probably beyond the realms of his abilities. But I would struggle to put him above any of the names you mentioned.
Jack's asking, where would you like to see Teddy go now, and where do you rate him in the super flyweight division? I think we've got to definitely rate him within the top 10, definitely, I think now.
Top 3, yeah, 3.
Third, yeah. Him or Quadras for second, probably, yeah. Quadras probably second. Shit up, mate. He's been good for a while.
Just thinking, actually, would you still rank Koki Kameda in the super flyweight division? I mean, he's never fought there. He's come down from bantamweight, and I don't think he's fought for over a year. I see him, he's ranked.
I don't want to rate him I don't want to rate him anywhere. Fuck him.
Is he banned or something? What was that? What happened with him?
Banned from Japan
should be. He should be
or
banned.
something.
He fucking should be.
Wasn't there an issue with his gym or something? They got deregulated, or the gym has to be regulated with the commission or something. Yeah, something like that.
Aye, the manager and the gym both got suspended or something. So basically, banned, because you got to be a member of a gym over there, and if you get suspended, basically, or your license gets suspended, basically that's you banned from fighting effectively in Japan, basically.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Get me with the lower weight knowledge.
Is that why his brother's gone to the States then?
Aye. I think there was talk. Well, I think Daki Kameda was due to fight sometime. I think he was due to fight in America. You know, on the undercard or something like that recently. Was it Daki?
Isn't he not fighting Jamie McDonnell now?
I'm talking about Daki Kameda.
Sorry.
I think he's another one. He's not been active since he got beat off Solis. I think that was. Aye.
Got beat off by Dong.
Who?
He got beat off by Dong, didn't he? Solis, yeah, was Solis, yeah.
Rian Scally's asking thoughts on Cal Yafai going to flyweight for Birmingham show. No fucking way is he going to make flyweight. It's a deeper division than 115.
Is that the Frankie Gavin show they're having?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way Cal Yafai is going to make 112.
He's huge, isn't he?
Yeah, that seems wrong to me. He's going to make that weight.
No way.
Macklin's on that card as well.
Fuck's sake.
You got it?
Nope.
You wouldn't even get a press pass from Marsham after all that slating that Alex has done.
Not after Alex's slating, damn.
Alex just ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, I was going to open this up to everyone because I don't know if anyone's actually heard anything officially or seen anything in the videos and stuff, but GW66 is asking, what is Fury's promo deal about? Why has Hennessy and Warren joined forces when Fury could have kept boxing on 5 with a big audience? I remember Fury basically stating that he was, that Hennessy was his promoter. So what is the deal he's got with Frank Warren? Just simply TV?
I think it's the fact that Mick needs his hand held because he hasn't got many people backing him at the moment, has he? So I think Frank helps him out a bit and Channel 5 a bit, and I think he's just got his finger on a few pies, which is an apt analogy considering Mick eats a lot of fucking pies.
Hey, I tell you one good thing about Mick, sorry, just to jump in there, he puts on a good spread, to be fair, whenever he does his press conferences and stuff, so, I mean, it's not all bad news.
Do you get to eat any of it, though? Or is it already gone by the time you get there?
Well, Mick likes a chocolate finger, but...
I bet he does.
He's not going to have any fighters left soon, is he? I feel a bit sorry for him. I mean, Kid Galahad's obviously going to be off to Sky, isn't he?
I like Mick.
Yeah, I just think this is like Channel 5 probably can't offer what they want. I mean, if they can get the Klitschko title shot, which they probably obviously want down the line, or the Wilder fight, Box Nation can obviously offer them more financially. I suppose that Channel 5 are not really that into it, I suppose.
Next question, Steve. I'll go to you. I thought I missed a couple. I'll come back to those two though. After Jamie Conlan moved to MGM, who can you see him fighting this year?
Well, obviously I would like to see the Paul Butler fight come off if it could be made. I mean, it's looking more likely now that Butler has got his defeat. Butler was in Belfast actually a few weeks ago at a small hall show. He was with another Anthony Farnell fighter, Kieran McVarnock, and I got a chance to talk to him. I actually liked Butler, he seemed like a nice guy, and he said that he was open to the Conlan fight. He beat him as an amateur. He was well aware of him, and he thought they were going to fight for the WBO, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. It's difficult, isn't it, for Conlan? I mean, he's won the WBO European title, but I mean, he didn't beat anybody of sort of European level, if you know what I mean, like EBU title level. But he's been moving along nicely on the cards, and he's been criminally overlooked for the British title over the years. I mean, he should have at least got a shot for that, but for whatever reason, he was meant to fight Paul Edwards at one point, and he was in line to fight most of them, and even when Shinny Bayar and all those guys were around, it just never happened. So hopefully now this move to MGM Jim can be his big break, and I'm looking at the WBO rankings now actually, and he was talking about fighting Omar Narvaez at one point, but I know he's been sort of bumped off now, and to be honest, the guys apart from Inoue, the top 3 guys, this So and Villanueva and Perenas, I couldn't really tell you an awful lot about them, but the only one concern I would have about Conlan is that he's got cut in quite a few fights. But skill-wise, I mean, he reminds me of a bit of a Damian Kelly boxer, but I think he could hold his own in and around that sort of class, yeah.
Next question comes in from Jamie. What should Paul Butler do next? How would the fight between him and Yafai work out? Alex. We lost him. Is he away for a...
He's away, he's BRB.
That's a good fight, but one, like you said earlier, we won't get to see because of
TV
the
issue,
promoter and the TV and all that rubbish. That'd be a really good fight, and that's a fight that would be exciting and it would be what people want to see. But yeah, it's not much point talking about it because we just won't see it.
Keith Smith's asking, Tete is taller than all of the featherweight champions, has a longer reach than Butler. He's also asking here is he a freak for the weight, or was Butler just purely exposed? Well, he is a freak for the weight. I mean, the guy's massive, but I don't think Butler was exposed as such. I just don't think he could actually work his way around about the long levers.
Yeah, the guy lost. I mean, it's one of those things where he's lost, and suddenly it's like, oh, he's exposed, or that's it for him. But a guy has a lot. This is a sport. If you fight good fighters, you're going to lose some. Unless you're the very, very best in the world, and that loss, hopefully it won't affect him mentally because, like I said, he was beaten for every minute of every round and then brutally knocked out. So you don't know how that's going to affect him in the next few fights. But hopefully it doesn't affect him, and it moves on. Like Frank said, other fighters lose, and that shouldn't be the exposure of him or anything. That's just what happens. I think we should. It's better just to say Teddy was a really good fighter, and personally, I believe they underestimated him and believe that they didn't really know how good he was, and so. they're wrong in that aspect. But yeah, sometimes you're just going to come against the guy who's better than you.
This can often happen, Andy, whenever fighters move up to true world class and realise what it's all about. Like, Butler won the world title against Stuart Hall, but it was like, it was like I was saying last week, I can't remember who I was citing with this, but it's effectively in a domestic fight. It's not really a world title fight as such. He wins the world title, he's world champion, this is all great. He's beaten up a few guys over 10 rounds, some Mexicans, who are from guys from abroad, and we're fighting at world level now, and then they go in against a guy like a Tete or somebody like that who's proven world level, he's experienced, he's strong, and they find the jump in class just too great. Now this might not be a bad thing for Butler. This has given him a true introduction into world class. He was found wanting, and it could benefit him. He'll go back to the drawing board now, and he might find it easier to fight at that level if he gets back up again. But the Stuart Hall fight was effectively a domestic fight, and he's now been introduced, to a true world class.
Mickey D, Alex, I don't know if you can help me out with this question, but he says, question for the pod, could Deacon versus Bieber steal the show on May 2nd? What's been going on with that one? I've been kind of off colour this weekend, actually, kind of hung over there on Saturday morning, dying. I had a big dose of the feel you would not believe, actually, so I've not been really kind of keeping up to date with all the Twitter happenings,
Well, Robin Deacon recently, I'm not too sure about the details myself, but do you all know who Robin Deacon is?
No.
He is a 1 in 51 fighter, who basically just professional loser, and he always loses his fights, and he's always talking quite a big game on Twitter and stuff, and he's always talking about his comeback, how he's going to get a proper trainer and fight for his life and get in a prize fighter, then go and fight for a world title and shit. But basically, he was starting on, Justin Bieber's also taking up boxing or something, isn't he? Or doing training from all the Floyd Mayweather connections he's got. But yeah, Deacon was calling out Justin Bieber, saying that he could fight him and beat him.
Is he a light flyweight?
Deacon? I don't even know.
No, he's a super featherweight. He's fought over here a few times. He fought Patrick Hyland back in 2008 in a social club. He's around featherweight.
I would say Bieber's around a flyweight, so he might have to bulk up.
Yeah, he might win that. Robin Deacon might just win that fight. So, like I said, he's only
It'd be
one.
amazing if he just wiped that little cunt out, just fucking laid him into the canvas.
Robin Deacon's one.
If he fought him, it'd be a unanimous decision.
He was called the worst boxer ever, wasn't he? In a Daily Mail article.
Yeah, they called him the worst.
Hump at that.
Yeah, the worst boxer in Britain. They called him, and he sort of wears that tag sort of with pride now. He won his debut fight, and he's lost 51 fights since then. And I think the board have refused to give him a license because he's basically a waster.
He won his debut. His promoters were like, "Wow, really got something here."
Final question comes in from Shep. He says, well, after Hearn saying Rock Nation have no money, I take it Value of the Week award has been sorted. Well, we don't know yet, because we've actually got quite a good lineup this week, and if Kurt's ready, he'll just get the intro playing for us for Value of the Week award.
Okay, what's the...
Right now, now, you fucking rat!
Okay, what's the value of the week?
Well, the Value of the Week award is back, and to be honest, I've actually got a couple of good ones this week, actually, guys. First one goes in from Tommy Coyle, though. Nobody thought I was going to beat Katsides. They all thought he'd blow me away. We've been sitting on this very show saying it was absolutely dangerous. We all knew that Katsides was past his prime, failed brain scans, allegations of theft and stuff. It wasn't looking good for him. Is he really serious with this shit?
I was cheering him on, to be fair. I was cheering on Katsides to absolutely lay him out.
Do you know what he should have added on to the end? He should have said, "Let's see who goes and beats Michael Katsides."
That's what I mean. I mean, he was done for theft. He was apparently on some drug conviction. He's brain scanned and told to retire. So I think we all said, it's a lucky job that he's fighting someone like Tommy Cole and not someone serious. And even that was way too much for him. So that's ridiculous.
You can see how shot he was.
Bob thought he was gonna smash me.
You can see how shot he was because the fact that Geffen managed to drop Coyle like a sack of shit, the fact that Daniel Brizuela took him to hell and back, and the only reason why Coyle beat Brizuela was due to a dodgy stoppage, and then you've got, Katsida sandwiched in between those. You just see how short he is. He got laid out by Tommy Coyle. He's a nice guy, Tommy Coyle, but fucking hell, he's taken a few punches to the head, like.
Next one up is Freddie Roach. Now, he made a comment about Cotto. Basically says Cotto beats Golovkin 100%. He actually went on to quote and say on ringtv.com, says, "That's up to Gabi Penagarcino. I've nothing to do with negotiations. I picked Miguel 100% to win that fight against Golovkin, but I'm not part of negotiations of who he chooses. I do feel it's a winnable fight. Ganelli's last fight, there were like 900 people there. It wasn't a good show. It was mediocre. Money tried a little bit, but I thought Golovkin should have ended it earlier."
Fucking shit talker.
Fucking hell. He can't help himself. And then the contradiction himself, Karel Froch, makes a reappearance this week. This is about the Andre, basically the kind of bitch fest back and forward between him and Andre Ward about getting a rematch on. Karel Froch was quoted by the Daily Mail. "Also, a lot went wrong for me in the Super 6 final in Atlantic City. I was looking forward to appearing in Madison Square Garden, but was moved to Atlantic City. Out on the shore in the cold of midwinter, disappointing. The date was pushed back, so I had to hang around in America a lot longer than planned. It ended up a week before Christmas, and my mind was getting home to the family instead of the fight. It'll be a very different fight in the English summer." Damn.
That's
he was trying his best to kind of top the volcano ash cloud excuse for losing to Kessler. Always someone's fault. So that's the three I've got this week, guys. Any other nominations up this week?
Yeah, I want to. She's a nice lady. I've met her, but probably doesn't remember it. But I want to nominate Nicole Duva. Have you seen all these fucking tweets that she's been putting?
Yeah, I've listened to the tweets, but I've seen some of the comments and that. Talk about just.
They're just so. To me, it looks bad because they're just like. They're so bitter. I know they had the NBC series and they lost it and stuff because Heyman went in and said, "Fuck them, we'll just buy the time and stuff." But that's more or less what happened. But it doesn't look good for them to be, I think, sort of seemingly cheerleading or rooting for the, failure of, boxing's regular return to network television. I think that's poor form, and I think a Bellew of the Week nomination, at least the nomination, is warranted.
So that's Nicole Duva. Alex, Kurt, Steve, have you got any nominations this week?
Anthony Joshua for the whole deleted tweets incident.
Oh, aye. I seen that about Dillian White.
Yeah, and he put up a picture of he said something about Journeyman, didn't he? About how he breaks Journeyman's faces, and he put a picture up of I forget his name at the moment, of
Paul Butler.
Yeah, like with a cut eye and stuff, and he sent him an email, didn't he, saying, I've got respect for you, that's why I email you. Well, he put the whole email up for everyone to read, and Joshua had to quickly delete his tweets, but obviously people had already
screen grabbed it
and just made Joshua look a bit of an idiot, to be honest.
Good to see him break from character though, for a change.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of beef between them, doesn't there? I was interviewing Dillian White when he was over here on the Frampton undercard, and he really cannot stand Joshua, so he's really getting under his skin. I've got the interview up in front of me actually, and he says, like, I beat Joshua, he took it personally and got angry about the fact that I beat him. He started calling me names, calling me a cheat. That pissed me off, and I responded. He stirred up a hornet's nest, and these hornets are ready to bite. So it sounds like there's some genuine beef between them pair.
Ah, Christ, just get it made,
Yeah.
Let it marinate. So, Steve, sorry, Donnie.
No, go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, Steve, you got any nominations?
No, I haven't got any nominations. Jump in, Donna.
Oh, does Khan get a nomination this week?
Amir Khan gets a nomination this week for wanting to pay, what was it, the princely sum of £2,000 to have a foursome.
I've got another one from Amir Khan, a late one as well. Hold on, I'll just carry on talking, I'll just find it. Someone tweeted it,
Well,
mate.
what's this other one you were saying about a foursome? What's he?
He's apparently offered some... what was the story, Donnie? You know the story back
him,
to front.
Sarge Donny, to roast Christine, one of our callers, but I don't know if it's coming off.
Christine, who was on the other week?
No, he was talking about the reality star, not our Christine.
Sorry,
Oh, right.
don't kill me for that.
But he's also saying here, Amir Khan, he just tweeted there in the last hour, he's actually stated, says, love to get Cotto, Bradley, Marquez, or winner of Mayweather, Pacquiao at Wembley Stadium. Would be massive. What do you think? Well, okay, what do I think? Where's fucking Brooks' name? I'm just going to tweet him back on that one, actually.
You wouldn't be the first one. Alright, Andy, we don't need to put the show on pause while you fucking send out...
He's going to announce his opponent in the next week as well, so that should
next
be interesting to see who it is.
Oh, is it
Apparently,
next week?
Yeah.
I hope to Christ it's not Algeria. I heard some people say that, so...
Oh, it'll be someone underwhelming anyway, and I see if it's no Bradley, if it's no Cotto, which is never likely to happen, and if it's no Brook, he can go fuck himself. I'm not interested in who his next fight's against after that.
Lopez if he beats Berto?
Josecito Lopez.
Yep.
Yeah, he's fighting Andre Berto next week,
Is
but
he?
that's never going to happen.
Wouldn't want to see him against Khan. No
Yeah,
chance.
that would be a huge step back. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I could see Marquez maybe happening. Who knows?
He's not even fit yet. He doesn't even know what's happening with his right knee.
Oh,
Alex, did you put up any nominations, mate? We lost Alex.
Alex was away. He's back again now.
Getting his ass to delivery.
Alex,
Hello. Sorry, what?
you getting your Asda shopping in there, right? You get any nominations this week, mate, for BOW?
Well, what have we had so far?
Carl Froch, Tommy Coyle, Freddie Roach, Amir Khan for multiple offences,
Joshua for
Nick
multiple
Bolton,
deletions.
Anthony Joshua. We forgot one person. Donnie was getting chased.
What?
Oh, remember you were getting chased on Monday.
Lucky to be alive after Lou was after him.
Yeah, how could we forget Lou Bella?
Why is he after you, Donnie? What did you do?
Because I was his American contact. I was the one that set up that interview, and so
Guilt by
He was the one who
association.
set him up for that evil article.
yes, I was getting phone calls in class. I was getting phone calls at work. I was getting phone calls when I was taking a shit. I think I had like Lou DiBella was blowing my phone up, dude. He was not happy. Text messages, calls, man. He was pissed the fuck off. Hey guys,
I never found out about this stuff.
He's like, the first words out of his mouth. I listened to the phone in the car. I hit the Bluetooth. He's like, "Hello, is this David Patterson?" And I didn't know who the hell he was talking about. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. He's like, boxing aside.
He's David Patterson and his name that he uses when he does these articles on poor innocent people like Lou.
You should have said, "This is Tommy Patterson. Now get the fuck."
Oh, honestly, no, I did phone. I mean, Donnie's chasing me over fucking Twitter and the website and stuff. Andy, you need to phone me straight away. I had to phone Tommy on the way home in the car from work about 4:10. I mean, I was actually expecting to have a nice quiet night on Monday night. Actually, I ended up speaking to Lou DiBella twice on the bloody phone. He was not happy, but by the time he spoke to me, though, I think he calmed down a little bit, you know.
Yeah, but the funny thing was that Andy called me when I was driving back from class or something, and then I was like, "Hang on, Lou DiBella's on the other line," and then all of a sudden I yell out, "Oh fuck!" Now it didn't have anything to do with Lou DiBella, but Andy heard this big horn sounded, and so basically this guy almost hit me while I was on the phone with Andy. And he's like, if you crashed your car over Lou DiBella, he's like, that'd be some funny shit.
So who's going to ring him to tell him he's getting nominated for Bellew of the Week?
Not me.
Well, you could drop him a text, just say, Lou, you won the BOTW. See what he says. But right, okay. So we got this week with Tommy Coyle, Freddie Roach, Carol Froch, Lou DiBella, Anthony Joshua, Nicole Duva, Amir Khan for multiple offences. Who else we got? That the entire list. Freddie Roach, like I said, him.
Yeah,
that's it, isn't it?
It's a pretty strong one this week, though. There's some corkers there.
Yes, stacked card there.
Yeah, there's some staggering
put a stacked cards together. Tony Bellew. Let's not forget about him getting in a fight on the set of Creed with some poor actor who looked at him and he said, "This is going to be vicious meat."
Tony Bellew for Creed, the fight. Good stuff. Right, okay, Alex, who are you voting for, mate?
It's a very strong line I've had to think about. I've been debating all week, Anthony Joshua sort of showing his true colours, and then I thought, yeah, maybe he's going to come out and start being a bit normal, but then he deleted his tweets and started tweeting shite again. I thought, yeah, he's good for the nomination, but I've really got to go with Carl the Contradiction this week for basically saying he lost the ward fight because he likes Christmas.
So Carol Forge is getting your vote. Donny?
If you have anything to fucking say, no, I'll take Bellew for the win this week. I think that one's great. Like, I mean, I just wish we had video of that shit. I mean, that would have been an all-time classic. Like, I could just watch that over and over, like the Broner Maidana fight or something.
I just think he's the fact that his name in his character he's called Pretty Ricky is Bellew of the week material. Pretty Ricky. It's gonna be vicious, mate.
So Donny, you're voting for Tony?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a good one.
So right, Steve. I think we could actually be handing out 3 titles this week. Actually,
silver,
the looks of it,
diamond,
Steve.
they're gonna be all going there.
Uranium, plutonium belts, and all that stuff. Steve.
Yes, I'm going to go for a personal vendetta to the man who once put the phone down on me. Freddie Roach, I'm going to go for him because he talks
Steve
shit to
name
me.
dropping again. He does this a lot, doesn't he? It's really getting on my nerves.
What do you mean? He put the phone down?
And Mike Stafford put the phone down
wrote,
on me as well. That's
I
why I
reckon he
hate
wrote
him.
articles about them like Andy about their knowledge, and they just went berserk.
Well, I did afterwards, yeah.
Wait, are you saying they hung up on you?
Oh, it was years ago. Yeah, he hung up on me when I was trying to interview him. It's a long story.
Was he pissed off or was it an accident?
Don't know, but
he just dropped
that
the
was
phone.
it. He was in my bad books from then on.
Me, Andy and Alex appeared on another podcast. I won't mention its name to plug it. We don't do that here. And Steve told me he was an award-winning author. Now we got a list of all the name dropping. It's getting on. I feel so
Hang
small.
on. When did I say I was an award-winning author?
It was along those lines. He makes us feel so small. It's horrible.
Actually, I've changed my vote. Steve Welling's Bellew of the week.
I can live with that.
Right, Steve, who got your vote, mate?
Freddie
Roach, sorry. Kurt, who about you, mate?
It's a tough one, but I think I'm gonna go with Freddie as well because he's just talking shit. I just start. What I don't like about Freddie is he talks all this shit. He's a good troll, but then when someone kicks him or punches him, he plays a sympathy act with his illness, and I just don't like him. Yeah, him.
Are you fucking serious? You're blaming him because he was upset that he got kicked in the fucking face by
No, I just don't like
Alex
that people. He plays a sympathy act. He gets kicked, and then everyone feels sorry for him. But they forget if he's big enough to matter, he's big enough to get kicked. That's what I look at it as.
Poor cunt.
Wait, what did Freddie say again? What is the actual comment that he's nominated for?
I read it out. You want me to read it back out again? He just basically says that Miguel would beat him 100%. He's no part of negotiations. Gary's last fight in front of 900 people wasn't a good show. It was mediocre, and he should have got rid of Murray a lot quicker than what he did.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I'm voting for Freddie Roach as well. So, yeah, it might be. Yeah, we need to get the Freddie Roach definitely. So Freddie Roach, sir, congratulations, you are the Bellew of the Week award winner. I think we've got Paul come on the call next. Actually, sorry about this, Paul. I didn't know you were actually on the line waiting to get on, mate. So we'll just get Paul on shortly. I think he's wanting to talk about some fights. Then we'll go into the reviews for next week. So guys, I think it's just mainly the Kovalev fight. Looking forward to next week, isn't it? But that card's quite good actually. Steve Cunningham against Glasgow as well. Right, let's see if we can get Paul on the line here. Paul!
Alright mate, hear me?
How you doing?
Not bad mate.
Sorry about that mate, I didn't think you were waiting there, eh? Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it, not doing much so.
What's happening today then?
Well, you've mentioned Robin Deakin, so I can't leave out my new favourite journeyman. I don't know if you saw him, but he was fighting at York Hall yesterday. His record, I don't know what went on yesterday.
Becky Moore?
Yeah.
Just seen this here, aye.
0-71.
No one, 71 defeats, 6 by stoppage, and he's got 2 draws. I mean, Jesus Christ! Look at he's got fights planned for the 28th of March twice. He's got two fights for 28th of March in the same night in the same arena.
Place.
31st of March, sorry, 21st of March, sorry, and 14th
and then next
of
week
March
as well. Yeah, so every
Simple.
Saturday.
Fuck's sake! So he's
Is he
fighting
from
Miley
South
Lee.
Africa?
Aye.
Or something. Yeah.
How is he not? How does he even get a license?
I think because they keep it to 4 rounds. What's that? Sid Razik, I think he only gets to fight in 4 or 6 rounders and stuff because he's losing record, I think.
Yeah, that. I'll tell you what, I might try and get a fight with him, to be honest.
Beck's Tiger, South African-born British light middleweight trail horse known as Beck's Tiger. Veteran of 71 fights and 6-round contests. 4 6-round contests, has gone the distance at least 65 times.
I think they get him a win. They should get him a win and stick him in with Deakin or something.
He only takes part in 4
Quite a
6
century,
rounders.
Get on the Mayweather undercard.
He must be going for some record, actually. Fucking hell. Did you actually see his fight, mate, the weekend, though?
No, I want to find it, because I imagine it is just hilarious, but I'll see if I can film that one day. But I want my main point today, I want to ask Donny, who wins if Thurman fights Khan?
Thurman.
No shoulder rolling the question like you usually do as well.
Just straight up, yeah.
Yeah.
Thurman, you know it's Thurman, mate.
I'm gonna pick Khan. I mean, I think he could.
Picking Khan, really?
Wow.
Yeah, but I do recognize. I mean, he's gonna tell me not to dodge the question. I mean, I do recognize that it's always a possibility, especially with Big Puncher, that he could catch him with something crazy. But I think if Khan gets through the fight, if he sees the final bell, he wins.
Yeah, I reckon that's actually true, but I don't see Khan getting to the final bell whatsoever.
Fair enough.
I'd be surprised if he got past 6 rounds. I'd be shocked. I can't see it. But I saw something interesting as well yesterday that someone put on Twitter, something like, I think Virgil Hunter's fighters have not got a knockout in the last 10 or 11 fights. Or a proper knockout, that is.
That's sort of like a self-selected group, though. I mean, you're talking about like Khan and Ward and stuff, but they're not big knockout punchers really, and particularly not in the style that he teaches. I mean, that's not really it might be in Khan's locker a little bit to kind of go for it, I guess, but I mean, every time he goes for it, he gets in trouble, so they're not going to do that, and Ward just isn't a puncher.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw something that he was saying, it might not be recent, but a while ago, that he was going to knock out Frosh if they had a rematch and stuff. It's like, he's got a bit of a deluded ego at times.
I think every boxer predicts a knockout in every fight. I mean, that's how you get headlines.
Yeah. Well, I hope Malinagi's not predicting knockouts, because that'd just be ridiculous. But I don't know. But what's your thoughts on this? How the hell has Haber managed to pull this off with Malinagi then? Getting a European title fight in America.
I mean, what also happened to the fact is he was no meant to fight 3 or 5 times in Europe or something to even qualify for the title.
Yeah, I think I'd look on the website when someone mentioned it. It is 5, but then I had a look. I think he's fought. Is it 2 or 3 times he's fought over here?
He's fought Sinchenko. He's fought Hatton.
Yeah. But he fought. I think Hatton was in America. He fought Undo twice. Yeah. So,
sorry, it was on the Hatton undercard. That's what it was.
Yeah. At Man City, I think that was, wasn't it? But again, that's obviously Al Heyman. Don't forget to thank him for throwing his money at it and then just bending over for it. That's what I think. But it would be hilarious to see Malinagi fight Frankie Gavin. That would be the worst fight. That would be absolutely terrible.
Just before we let you go, Paul, just give me your prediction for next Saturday. Kovalev, Pascal.
Kovalev will just absolutely ruin him. 4 rounds.
4 rounds?
Yeah.
4 rounds?
That quick?
Yeah. I'm definitely 4 rounds. He's been quite mouthy, Pascal. And I think we saw it with Hopkins a bit once he started getting a bit mouthy. I don't think Kovalev likes. Does he? Obviously, he mentioned when he killed the guy, didn't he?
Yeah, he said some nasty shit, hasn't he?
What a moron!
Pascal.
It's like,
that was a little below the belt.
Low. It was a little low, but at the same time as well as Kovalev, that doesn't even bother him, man. He just gets on with it. He's a Terminator. He's the real Terminator that Tony Bellew tells us that he is.
Yeah, but Is it better to lose to Kovalev or better to lose to Stevenson? That is a big question that Bellew will have you answer. That was just...
Wow.
I mean, I have to think maybe Pascal did that because he's either trying to get inside his head and, maybe make him think twice, if he gets hurt or something, you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, maybe, but then...
I mean, not that that's acceptable. I'm just telling you.
Oh, yeah. No, it could be that, but I just think that's a dangerous move because if he just pisses him off that much, he does what he did to Hopkins in the last round.
Yeah, I think Pascal's got a pretty good chin. I don't know. Does anyone know? I just offhand, has he ever been down in a fight?
I don't recall him ever being down in a fight, no, but I've seen him dislocate his shoulder twice in one fight and had it popped in. I mean, the guy is hard. I mean, he is a tough fighter.
Yeah.
Which we'll touch upon anyway.
Yeah.
Paul, anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'll be back on after Brooke takes care of her Dan to discuss with Donny how long it's going to take for Brooke to dismantle Khan, but we'll leave that until then.
Okay, Paul, cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, cheers. I'll see you later.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Cheers, folks.
Okay, guys, that's just basically it for this week. What we are going to be doing is there is going to be another show getting released on Thursday. What will be the reviews for the fights coming up. Obviously, we've got the fights on Friday, Andre Berto, Jose Cito Lopez. We've got the fight from Canada, Sergey Kovalev, Jean Pascal, Steve Cunningham, Vacislav Klaskov. And you've got a card there from Denmark that maybe, it's just a kind of showcase fights. So watch out for your usual download sections and stuff. That show will be available on Thursday. I'd like to thank the panel today. I'd like to thank Alex Morris, Donny Baseball, Steve Wellens, Kurt Ward, and Kyle McLaughlin who was on. And I'd like to thank Paul for coming on the show as well. As I say, listen out for Thursday's show, and we'll definitely be back on Sunday. All the best.